Hi everyone, in this video I will be building a Java web application using Glassfish, Java Server Pages and Java Servlets. This video is mostly aimed for beginners who already know what JSP and Java Servlets are, but don't know how to use all that knowledge to create a simple web application. Before we begin, let me start with a quick demonstration of the website. It's actually one of the assignments for my uni I had to do. You can see my paper code in here. Sorry for that. The website is actually a simple application where you can create your own blogs, you can see other people's blogs, and you can delete your blogs. So for now we are not signed up, but if you go to your profile you can't find any articles because you are not signed up. You can see all other people's articles and you can add your own blogs. But for that you need to sign up. Let's sign up. test1@.com and then create a password for that. Okay, now you can see that the navbar has changed and there is an exit button over here. Now let's go to my profile. There's no articles found because we haven't created any yet. Let's create an article. And please subscribe to my channel. Let's add an article, go to all articles, and you can see that the article has been displayed here and it's on my profile. Now if I sign out and go to my profile, I can't see any articles because I'm not logged in. If I log back in with the test1 and enter my password, go back to my profile, the article is still there. Okay, now this is it for the introduction. Let's start coding. For this project I'm going to be using NetBeans and Glassfish. Now let's create a new project, Java web application. Enter our project name, blog application, enter and finish. Now I have pasted my own JSP pages in here. They just use simple HTML and Bootstrap. I'm not going to teach you how to do that. The main focus of this video is to show you how to use JSP and Java Servlets. The only thing I would like to explain is that I created a header JSP and head HTML, and I can just include them in all of the other pages on my website. For example, in here I'm including head HTML and header JSP. So if I want to change something in the header, I can just go to a single file and change all articles, for example, nav element to something else, and this way I'm not gonna have to go to every single file and change the header for every single file. Now if you run the application you can see that. By the way, you can find the code in the description below to my GitHub, and you can clone the repository or download it. Now I'm going to create my own servlet. I'm going to go to source packages, create a new package called blog servlets, which contains all of our servlets related to the blogs, and then create a new Java class called blog list servlet. And now servlet has to extend HTTP servlet. It must have a constructor. Some servlets include also init function. Some processing function. That would take HTTP request, servlet request, and HTTP servlet response. Next, the servlet must also have two functions that handle post and get requests. So it's going to be public void doGet. Now doGet function also includes request and response parameters. and another function called doPost. Now, don't mind this error, my IDE is just being a bit silly. So I would like to demonstrate how this init function process and to get work. Let's create a new object called Logout and initialize it inside the constructor. Let's import the missing dependencies. Now what I want to do is to write logo.info constructor logo.info init process request get. Actually, we're not going to use get method, so let's just add it to the post and post. Now, if I go to my header JSP and redirect my all articles navigation element to, oh yeah, one important thing. For every servlet, you also want to add a URL button. So for this, we're going to create add web servlet with the name of the class, which is block list servlet, and then URL pattern. It's going to equal to block list. Let's import that. Yep. And go back to header to JSP and redirect it to block list. So if I go back to my application, reload the page and go to all articles, go back to my NetBeans, you can see that the logo has actually printed something here, constructor and init. So you can see that the constructor was triggered and then the init function was triggered. However, if I, for example, add something there, for example, get request, name equals wizard, and I need to edit here as well. We start, and here you can see the get request has been called. And then I'm going to call process request function with the request and response inside. We start, and you can see constructor, init, get, and process. So this is how the process of the servlets goes. Whenever a request is made to a servlet, a constructor is being called, and then the init function, and then whichever request has been called, get or post, and then the following request involves or invokes some other functions that help them handle the request. Now, before I finish off this servlet, there's a few things you should know. I am connecting to a remote database, so I'm using that MySql pool, and I'm not going to show you my properties because it's confidential. It has a port number, password, user, and other important information to connect to the remote database. Or you can create your own localhost database. Then I'm going to go to the resources and, for example, go to the assignment 1 and see that my SQL pool is actually one of the pool names from that resource. Okay, now I have created two tables as well. One table is a block. It has 5 columns: author, title, content, ID, and date added. Date added is long, which is a big integer, and then author is varchar, title is varchar, content is text, ID is auto-incremented, primary key is ID. Another table is users. I have email and password. The passwords are not hashed. Email is a primary key because all emails have to be unique, and this email is also a foreign key for blocks table, so that, for example, max1 is in here. Yeah. Now I'm also going to be using entities in this project, so I'm going to create a new persistence unit that will point to the database. So I'm going to right click source packages and then new persistence unit, and then data source. Data source will be MySql assignment 1 and finish. By the way, this is actually one of the assignments for my university. So I have pointed to my data source, which is MySql assignment 1, which is pointing to my SQL pool over here. So now the setup is complete, and we can finish off this servlet. So for that, I'm going to create a new class called block. It will be an entity, so it's going to implement serializable. Implements serialize. Then Alt Enter, add import. So it's also an entity. Now, because we added our own persistence unit, it allows us to import Java X persistence entity. Now I'm going to also give a table name from the database, which will have a name of block. Let's create attributes, which is columns from the database. First will be title, and then it will be author, content, date added, and ID. So author, content, this will be long, date added, and then ID will be an integer. So to make it actually point to the column in the database, we need to give the column name. Name equal to title, and also add an attribute ID to it. Same thing I'm going to do for the rest of the attributes. Import the missing packages. And pretty much ignore those errors because they don't mean anything. Okay, now I want to create constructor. Then I'm going to do the getters for all the attributes. So I'm going to right click, insert code, getter for all 5 of the attributes, generate. Okay, and for get ID, because it's actually an integer, I'm going to return a date instead and create a new date. Date equals new date, which will actually have our value of date added, and then we'll return date. Okay, now so we're done with the entity. Let's continue with the Java Servlet. Now that we also added persistence.xml, you might want to restart your application for your project to be able to read the persistence.xml file. Okay, now if you've done that, we're going to continue. So first of all, we're going to create a new entity manager that is taken from persistence.xml. It's a persistence context with the unit name of block application PU. Let's import that. Now, I think I want to import that too. Now in the init function, I want to create a new Servlet config. Basically initializing our Servlet. Then I'm creating a connection. Actually, no, I don't need to use a connection. I'm just going to check if entity manager is not null, if it's actually reading something from my persistence.xml file. Entity manager. For that, I want to create a list of blocks. Let's import that and create a new jpql command, which is equal to string. It's going to be select B from block B. Now you have to do that because it's actually using entities, not SQL, so you cannot just say select star from block. Let's create a new query. A query would be entity manager equal to entity manager dot create query, and then jpql command. Okay, so now I'm going to retrieve the list of blocks from the query. So I'm going to go block list equal to query dot get result set result list. Query import set a request attribute with block list to block list, and then create a new dispatcher request dispatcher equal to get servlet context, get request dispatcher, and it's going to point to all blocks.jsp. Import that, and then dispatcher dot forward request response, throw an exception, then throw an exception here, and if I want to make a post request, I will do it here as well, and throw an exception here. Okay, so now let's try that out. I'm going to go to my profile and click all articles. Yep, it's working. So basically what it's doing now is I'm going to header, asking me to redirect to block list, which is all of that, process request. So you can see that constructor, init, get, and process have been done, and after it has been done, dispatcher is redirecting us to the all blocks.jsp. Now from here we already have attribute list blocks that we're going to retrieve and actually print all of the articles in this JSP page. So before we begin, I would like to also say that I had a mistake. So in here it was like that, and I don't need to return long as a date, so I want to just return date as a date. So okay, now we can work with the JSP. What I'm going to do is to include the C tags for JSP and make a selection I want to choose. So basically that will make it's like a scope for the if statement. Then I'm going to say when the block list is equal to null, or block list is equal to block list size is equal to 0. I am going to return that h2 article that there is no articles found. Otherwise, it's like else. I am going to return like the list of the articles. So in here I'm going to remove no articles found. Now create C for each, and the for each will have items which will be equal to a block list items, and then the item is like a single element of the for loop. Now the author will be item.title, item.author, and then title will be item.title, and content item.content, and date is getDate. Actually date edit. Okay, so if we look at the page, go to the page, home page, all articles, we can see that all the articles have been listed over here. Now to add the remove button functionality, we just need to add the ID to the actually, I don't think I want to add the remove button functionality to all the articles. It's only articles that you have made you can remove, so we can get rid of that for now. Now I want to add a sign up and login functionality. So for that I'm going to create a new package. I'll call it session handler. And then create new Java class, login, and another one I'll call exit. I will just copy everything from here and paste it into the login. Just replace class name with login here, login, and login here. Change the package name to session handler. Constructor, I don't need that, I don't need that, I don't need the logs here and here and here. Now also, I don't think I need a persistent context unit and package manager, all of that, and yeah, we have a clean servlet. I will just quickly copy everything from here to exit as well, and make this exit, exit, and exit. Also, I need to change the URL patterns to exit here and to login here. So let's start with login, I guess. Actually, let's create a new session called sign up. It would make more sense. Java class and sign up. Login, Control C, Control V, change everything to sign up. So for the sign up servlet, I'm going to have an email and a password. Now I do want to have an SQL command for that one, because there's no point of me doing creating entity managers if I'm not gonna interact with JSP the same way as blocks. So I'm going to create a new string called SQL command, and I will make the string equal to insert into block users. I want to insert what? Email and password, and then I want to insert values. Those values will be question marks, which will later be changed when we do a prepared statement. So now I need to make email equal to request.get parameter email, and same thing for password. I want to check if email is not null and the password is also not null. And if it I want to check if it's null actually. If either of them is null, I will redirect the user back to the sign up page so that he enters values correctly. Signup.jsp. Okay, so next I'm going to create a connection, prepared statement, result set, equal to null as well. Import delete. Okay, sign up connection. Oh, okay, so I misspelled connection. Oh my god, stop. Connection, import connection, import prepared statement, and import do I need result set? I don't think I do. And check if my SQL command is not null and my connection, not the connection, my data source I think is not null. Also one more thing, the data source, I need to add that as well. So in here I will create a new data source, and it will be also annotated to a map name of my resource in the admin panel. MySql assignment1, save, import, and the resource also import. Okay, so prepared statement, import JavaScript prepared statement. Oh, it's my IDE being silly. So now I want to try, and then catch SQL exception E, and that. So connection will be equal to data source get connection, So I had a little error. I imported the wrong package. It's supposed to be Java X SQL data source, and then also I was pointing to the wrong resource on localhost 4848. So just to be more clear, I will show you again. So that map name is pointing to the resource, which is over here, and you create the resource, and then you point the resource to one of the JDBC SQL connection poles. So mine's pointing to MySql pole, which is connecting to a remote database. Okay, so I have prepared the connection. Now I need to prepare statement. Prepare statement equals to connection dot prepare statement string, and string will be SQL command. Then prepared statement. Oh, okay, it's just statement. Then statement will be equal to, no, I will set a string for a first element to be email, and for the second one to be a password. So you can see two question marks here, and these question marks point. First one points to email, and second one points to password. So I'm saying I want the first one to be email and the second one to be password. Now I'm going to execute the statement. So statement.execute update. And I want to log the user in, so I'll just create a new session for him. Okay, import that. Also, I want to close the connection, so I'll check if statement is not null. I want the statement to be closed, and then the same thing with the connection. If connection is not null, I want the connection to be closed. Okay, and then it has to redirect me to index.jsp. Let's see if it works. Send redirect. So I'm going to sign up, and then enter some email, for example, hello world 1, password 123, sign up, and the page not found because it's called process sign up. Okay, so I'm going to rename that to process sign up. go back, again, hello world, 1@gmail.com, 123, sign up. So I have created a session. Now you can't really see that the user is logged in because you still have a sign up and login option. So I want to go to header.jsp and add an exit button. So for that I'm going to actually do a selection, so if statement. It's going to be also using C tags, so I'll go C and then choose, and the scope will be the whole thing, and then C when test is equal to, and then quotation marks, and then email is, and if email is null, the email is actually going to be session that I'm setting. So if I go back to blog sign up, oh, so I didn't set a session yet, so I'm going to set a session set attribute email, and then email, and then in the header.jsp I'll check if the email is not null, and then if it's not null, it's going to print login and sign up. Otherwise, it's going to show the exit button. Okay, so now it's not working because I actually didn't set the attribute. So what I'm going to do now is to delete the entry from the database. Now I have deleted this from the database, and I'm going to sign up again. It's going to be hello world 1@gmail.com, enter my password, sign up, and you can see a button here. Another thing I want to actually check if go to my own articles. So if I go to my articles, it's user blogs, I want to check if the user signed up or not. So let's go to header.jsp, copy the whole thing from here and go to user blogs. I'm going to enter it here. I don't need the elements. So if the email is null, then I'm going to ask the user to sign up to view your own articles. I think I have this in my blogs. No. Please sign up to view your articles. Sign up or login. So it's verb, so I'm gonna have to separate them. Yep, and if I go back to my web page and go to my profile, oh yeah, so if I exit, and exit doesn't work, so I'm going to add the functionality right away. Basically it's going to be the same thing as sign up, more or less, except I'm going to remove a session. So I'm going to go HTTP session equals to request.get session, and then I'll set this to false because I don't want the new session to be created if it's not null. And I will remove the attribute email. and then I will redirect the user to index.jsp. Send redirect. Restart. And so I have been redirected. If I go to my profile, I can see that it asks me to sign up or log in to view my own articles. Okay, now let's add the login functionality. So it's going to be kind of the same thing as sign up. I'm just going to copy the process request and paste it in here. And then I need the data source and SQL command. So data source and SQL command. And then inside the constructor, or maybe look, it's better to be inside the init function, I'm going to create this SQL command. So it's going to be different, obviously. I'm going to now select from block users where email is equal to this email and the password is equal to that password. Okay, now I don't need that and that. Also, if someone was wondering how I get the request parameters email and password, when I do go to sign up page, it's a simple form. Just Google HTML forms and it will just give a post request to process sign up, which will lead me to the sign up page, and it will have a value for, so it will have a name email and it will have a name password, which will be received over here. Okay, so I don't need those here. Actually, no, wait, I do need those here because I'm logging in and the user enters the same thing. I'll copy that from here. Copy. Paste. So I'm getting email and password. I'm checking that the user has entered correctly. If it's null, I'm going to redirect into login.jsp. Then connection prepared statement. This time I'm going to have a result set. Which will be equal to null for now. Okay, so connection, set string email equal to email and password equal to password. So it will be not update because I'm not updating the database, I'm a querying database. So I'm going to execute a query. And then the query will be equal to the result set. Okay, so now I'm going to check if the result set has a next element. And if it does, then means it found the user with the same password and the same login email. I mean, it's going to just create a new session. Request.get session. This time I want to set this as true because I want to create a new HTTP session because it might not exist, and if it doesn't exist, the user will not be able to log in. Okay, session.set attribute email, and then it will be result set dot get string email. Then I want to close all of my connections. And I don't need that. So I think that should be it. Let's try this out. I'm going to log in. using helloworld1@gmail.com, enter my password and log. Okay, it's processing login. I'm going to change the path URL pattern to process login again. It's showing me an error somewhere. Result set has to be imported as well. And that's it. So let's continue. And as you can see, I have been able to log in again. Okay, now let's add the functionality of adding a block, your own blocks. So to add my own blocks, I'm going to create a servlet again. So I'm going to go new, a Java class, and then add block servlet. It's going to be kind of equal to sign up, so I'm going to copy that here and to replace the name of the class again. Add block. Data source, SQL, email, and password. Let's make it with a scope. Then that and that. Connection. I'm going to need a result set. Actually, no, I don't need a result set. I'm going to change the query. It's going to insert into block. I'm going to insert author, title, content, and date added. Values, I'm just going to add one more and two more question marks. Okay, so I guess we need to check if the user is logged in. So I'm going to go HTTP session equals to request dot get session false, and then session, I guess, no, string email will be equal to string. We're gonna cast it to a string object, and then session dot get attribute email if the user is logged in, and this email will be the author. Okay, now I'm going to check if email is equal to null. I am going to response send redirect the user to login page, login.jsp. Okay, so now I want to retrieve title, request dot get parameter title, and then request dot get parameter for email, not email, sorry, content. Now, and date will be system dot current time millis. So now I need to set the parameters for the query string in here. So the first one is author, which will be our email, then title, content, and date. Second, third, fourth, title, content, and date. So because it's a long, we're gonna set long. And then we're going to execute update because we're updating a database. That is not needed. Connection is closed. And then redirect the user to index.jsp. Okay, and also we need to change the package name to block servlets. So let's try this out. Oh yeah, so if I go to add block.jsp, I will copy that from header and then go back to add block, paste this in here, check if the user is signed in. If he is signed in, then I'm going to show the form, and then if he is not, I'm going to ask him to sign in or sign up. We start. So yeah, we are not signed in. It asks us to log in. We log in with our account, like just any of the accounts. Log in and then add block. The author is our email. So the author is supposed to be our email address, and if we go back here, we can see that in this HTML form, for the input field, the value is actually not there. So we're just going to make it email. Restart. And yeah, so our email address is now the author. Now title, we can use any title one, and content, check this out. Then add page 404 because it's redirecting us to process block where so yeah, action is process block, and add block servlet is not that. So let's change it to process block, go back, refresh the page and continue. Oh, okay, let's start it again. Edit, and yeah, the block was added. So now if we look at the database, we can see that the author max1 at max.com, title 1, and the content checks this out. The ID is 21 because we had articles before that, and the current date is from 1970 something in milliseconds. So now this is pretty much it. This application is done. Obviously you can continue working on it. You can, for example, hash the passwords before you write them in the database, and then every time you want the user to be logged in, you compare the hashes. You can add the edit functionality where you can edit the content of the article or edit the title, and then also have a separate date where it would be date updated and date edit. So yeah, you can extend the functionality of that website. I suggest you doing that because it would make you learn more by yourself rather than just following my tutorial. Thank you for watching. Bye.